Let me know when you're ready.
I was born ready. So,
good afternoon, Revitalize Johnstown fans. My name is John D. Bartola.
Joe Taranto.
And this is our first, what are we calling this?
It's got to be Good News Friday because there's a lot of good news.
Good News Friday 2.0. Oh, we love you all. Joe and I have been talking about doing this now probably for the past 2 years. But when I hear from so many fans that they have producers and a team that want to see us do stuff like this, I just can't help myself. I have to do it. And I want you all to know who are watching this, there's not just one leak giving me information. Joe, we all know our political world. They're all two-faced, petty, and
they all want to talk, and they all don't like each other.
They hate each other. So Joe and I will do these periodically. Please share them. They'll be on our personal pages. We know you're going to be watching because we know you're all obsessed with us. We know you sit in your offices, you sit in your homes, and you're watching these videos because you want to know who we're spilling the tea on.
So what's the first thing you'd like to talk about on this Good Friday?
This Good Friday, I want to talk about the Housing Authority video. Now, if you've all seen it, we're going to upload it after this. Joe and I are going to watch it live. It's about 30 seconds. There's a woman I became an advocate for. We were at the Housing Authority about 2-3 weeks ago. She has since been evicted. I will probably tag her in the video. The problem is the conditions where she was staying were so unkempt and so ridiculously...
So why'd they evict her?
Because she was shot. And she had no criminal charges, but because she had been shot by her boyfriend, they threw her out. That's and there's more to the story.
There's gotta be more to that story.
And she spoke about it at the meeting, and there's, so she now has this video of how bad the conditions were. Joe, let's watch this.
Okay.
And you'll all be watching it, but, you can see the entire roof collapsed. There's a leak coming through. You can see the black mold.
So there's living in a building with an active leak.
This is Prospect.
Oh, this is the public housing.
This is the public housing. This is not Section 8. Look at the black mold. And this is disgraceful. And she's been complaining about this for a very long time, and of course nobody wanted to respond to it because they don't care about people.
With the amount of money that they have, they don't fix that?
Why should they? You have to complain some more. So the question about the Housing Authority becomes, well, how do you fix it? Joe, how do you fix the Housing Authority?
I like the idea of tearing down some project housing.
Just like Burns put out today in the media.
That's a good idea. Now, I wasn't thinking of actually setting it, giving the money so they can build it in like Philadelphia where people are coming from, but turning it into like vouchers to use. But I mean, either way, obviously housing wants to deconcentrate. The reason they made Section 8 is because HUD realized that housing in project form was concentration of poverty. So they made the voucher program to deconcentrate poverty. We're clinging on to that system with a public housing volume that's well over what our population would demand. And yeah, we should probably reduce that.
My problem with the Housing Authority is twofold. I think the Johnstown City Council keeps voting for increased housing, and they keep appointing the same people who've been on for 10 plus years, and they refuse to know what's going on. They're not addressing the issues.
Well, what they have done is, and on every 5-year plan, they have put into their 5-year plan that they want more subsidized housing.
So they vote yes on this.
And then when you tell them that they've done this, and I've talked to people when I was on the housing board, in state level and upper from HUD, they said that you can't get less of because because the municipality we represent says they need more. So if the municipality is saying they need more of something, you're definitely not going to get any plan through that's going to reduce. It's the city council's fault for doing that. There's a lot of people at fault, but that's a simple fix with just some change that they could take care of and fix. But they're not doing it.
Now, this is not the first video we've had in the past month. The last video you and I actually made at the stairwells over at Coopersdale. I can tell you all it was deplorable. We emailed everybody under the sun, and surprisingly, City Council and the Housing Authority never responded. When I went to the Housing Authority board meeting, I believe it was 2 weeks ago.
Well, they cleaned up. They cleaned up though, right?
Yeah,
they sent someone to clean it up.
But they're not addressing the root of the problem and that's the filth. People peeing in the hallway, the drug deals. They're blaming the residents.
They blame the residents, and the residents are making the mess. But if I have a rental property and my tenant goes out back and throws garbage everywhere, the city's going to tag me.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a landlord, which JJ is the landlord, it's my responsibility to clean it up. And then I have to address the tenant. If the tenant doesn't want to keep it up, then I have to evict them. So why are they not cleaning it? Because it's their job. At the end of the day, it's their job. And why aren't they removing people who are causing problems? Put a camera in the stairwell.
Now, when you and I ran for city council 2 years ago, the Housing Authority in Section 8 was the major platform of our election that year.
Yeah, I had plans to do things with the Housing Authority that, they don't want to do. And they're not going to do it.
Give an example. For our friends from the Housing Authority, you're going to be watching. We know you're going to watch.
Here's step one. You like Burns had put out. You tear down the project housing. Back when I went to the junkets and learned all about
junkets.
The junkets.
Did you go on junkets?
I did. I took the whole family.
She was with child.
They took the
Remember
whole
that?
family.
She was with child.
In the airplane.
For a backstory, when Joe was on one of these quote-unquote junkets, somebody saw him on the plane, and as they always do, they go after your family.
Oh yeah, of course.
And they're vindictive and they're cruel.
So HUD gives the housing authorities money to send. You're allowed to allot a certain amount of money to send your board members on education, and the education is then by their state agencies, and there's national agencies. But then they put on classes so that a lay person that doesn't know anything about housing can then learn, because you need commissioners on the board that are aware of their policies, how not to get people in trouble for fair housing, how to implement the plans that they have and the different programs they have. And if you don't go to these classes and learn, you don't know. And they have a whole cachet of different plans that you could implement in your community, and then it's the job of the local housing authority board to then pick from that cachet to then implement those plans in their local community that best fit their local community. We're not doing that, because we make a joke about junkets, and then I took my family, but I paid for them.
But they don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
You were all over front page of the paper, the Tribune Prov, that had the junkets with the chairman of the Housing Authority.
But there was a program back then, I believe it was called RAD or something of that nature, where they could actually remove public housing and but you can't get rid of. You have to keep the same number of people, so you turn those people from public housing into vouchers. And everybody says, "Oh, great! Now you have more Section 8." Well, you really can't. You can't displace them, but you could turn the Section 8 rental voucher into a home ownership voucher. And I actually had the Housing Authority, when I was on the board, the chairman, do a study to do the pro and con, and they actually came back where the pros way outnumbered the cons for every party involved in the community, the Housing Authority, and the tenant. That it was a benefit. Like a community would benefit from the housing voucher system instead of the rental system, because it would increase housing values more than a rental program. It decreases transiency, blah blah blah. But there's those programs you could implement, and it would change the dynamics of the authority in our area. But they're not willing to do that, because they don't. I think they don't want to, because they get money for having the project housing here.
They profit off the poverty.
And I think, and I don't know if this is true. This is just my, I look at it, and from what I can gather, they have to employ maintenance crews. They have to employ. They get contracts, so they have the ability to give out contracts and hire people, because they own all that public housing. So there's more money going through their fingers, which makes them more powerful. And in a town where there's no jobs, that's power. And
That's a lot of power.
I think that's probably why they're doing what they're doing. Maybe it's not. It's just my opinion. It's my guess from the information and what I've observed.
And the Section 8 thing and the Housing Authority thing is not going away. It's getting worse.
No, it's going to get
crime, the shootings. The next Housing Authority board meeting is February 28th at noon. A group of us will be at the meeting. The problem is enough people don't care, and they'll care. Like, we'll have people commenting on the video, but to show up and to make it, and of course,
and people will care when there's a house next to them. It's deplorable, or causing problems, or selling drugs,
and they avoid it otherwise.
Yeah.
Now, along those lines, to take a different topic, as we're covering the good news of the week.
What's our good news? What else do we have?
Our next good news topic is the Senior Center. Now, a couple weeks ago, I went on Facebook, Joe, as you know, and I complained about the fact that our Johnstown Senior Center has flooding in the basement, and for about, I'd say 18, 19 months, they've had limited services. The residents have been calling me up complaining. What do, Facebook friends? I go on Facebook. I put those horrible narcissistic posters up. Love the word, by the way. I criticize our politicians. I hold them accountable. I go to the meetings. I complain. So for about a month, I've been making an issue about this. I filed a complaint with the Cambria County Commissioners. I even went to the commissioners meeting last Wednesday and said, what's going on? Fix the senior center.
And now they're going to address it.
So now the Tribune Pravda, and I know you're all watching this as well, does a glowing article praising Mini Tom, Scott Hunt, because they acknowledge they don't know where the leak is.
How do you have a leak in your basement and not? I can go downstairs right now and show you when it rains where my basement leaks.
But they don't know.
And
they can't fix it, so they move all their stuff upstairs. They're still doing limited services, and the real tragedy of this is our county commissioners, and yes, I gave TV Tom the name TV Tom because he's a celebrity. Tom, if you're watching this, I would love to see your gas bill for your car. Actually, Tom won't watch this. Drew Carey will watch it and report back to him.
He'll write up a report for him.
And Drew Carey, if you're watching this, we love you. Go ahead.
So, but they still haven't fixed it. They just put out where they
They're going to address it because I made a big stink, and the Tribune doesn't want to give me credit for anything.
So it's not that they got it fixed in 18 months. It's that they're going to get it fixed now after 18 months by contacting contractors to fix the problem.
Because we made a big deal about it.
But there's probably another 6 months of
minimum.
I mean, you got to get bids, then the person has
to
actually do the work.
So they don't care.
So in essence, the article was trying to just shut up the griping of what's going on at the
Well, it's like about 6 months ago, I had a call. I won't say your name. The woman needed help with ERAP. Remember ERAP?
Oh, that's a disaster.
And I went before the commissioners. I went on Facebook. I did posters because the ERAP program in Cambria County takes between 8 to 12 months to get a check. That any other county in the surrounding area is 4 to 6 weeks to get your benefits.
Pittsburgh's 4 to 6 weeks.
So Joe and you and I both went. We complained about it. I believe the Evansburg paper put us in. The Tribune wrote us out because, of course, the Tribune, we know the Tribune Providence is controlled by Vision.
I only read the articles in the Tribune that you send me. You're like, look at this, read it.
Well, it's what they do. I mean, it's all fake news. I'm proud of Representative Burns, who recently called them out on that because it needs called out. They're doing fake news or propaganda for the regime, but Vision controls the government here. That's another topic for another day.
The Tribune's editor?
The publisher, Forsey, is on the board. So we have these connections. But the problem with the senior center is, and the ERAP program is, all these things happen. Our media's job is to say, look at what you're doing to our residents, but they don't.
Yeah,
so
why isn't the Tribune every day going and saying, what's the wait time on the ERAP program? They never really
Instead, people come to me. I do the narcissistic posters that everyone criticizes, but because I do these things and I make such a mockery, and in case you people out there don't realize, we don't take this seriously. Joe and I are best friends. We laugh at this because we know the stupidity.
It's pretty bad.
It's stupid. And the fact that there's such a response and there's groups springing up to thwart us and stop us, it's a complete joke.
Yeah, instead of the Tribune going after like ERAP saying Pittsburgh's doing it in 4
weeks.
And 4 weeks, and we're doing it in 8 to 12 months. They trash us for stupid things.
For exposing it.
Yeah.
And this is just one example of the county's mismanagement and incompetence.
Cover it over and say, everything's wonderful. It's great. It's good news. Hey, everything's great.
And you pay attention over here, the bread and circus.
And then when you point out, that's just kind of bread and circus, that's really like icing, it doesn't really matter. Oh, you're just being negative. Why are you being so negative about that? What about people getting put out in the street? Because I'm going to tell you, a lot of landlords don't want to deal with the ERAP, and they're just throwing people out where that money is there to take care of people. And because they mismanaged it, a lot of people lost their house.
There is so much mismanagement in our area, Joe. It's not just the county. The city and the school are probably the worst next to the water authority. Right now, the city of Johnstown has an unprecedented $30.5 million. They have 24.5 from the raise grant. People, if you're listening to this, start questioning your city council and Camtran. I keep trashing Camtran. How are they spending this raise grant? How are they spending the COVID money? We have a $16+ million Main Street corridor project. For people who read it, they want to sink X number of dollars into Morley's dog. Ridiculous amount of money. because that's going to bring tourism to save our town. But
Yeah.
Balance has their $10,000 in lights because
That's
the rich
where they
people
wanna
at
be.
Vision have to go get their lights.
Meanwhile, block down the road, someone's urinating in the parking lot.
That was your day yesterday.
That was wonderful.
So these are topics that need addressed.
Apparently, they're taking leaks in all the bus stops over here in Boston too.
And who's going to address it? So those are our 2 topics of the week. I would like to remind people there's an election coming up. The judge races are important to follow. Judge Krummenacher and Judge Canary are going to be stepping down. I believe Krummenacher is completely done, though I'm not sure.
I heard he was retiring. Yeah.
I don't think he's doing senior judge.
No, I think he's.
What we need to have happen is you need to focus on every single position, whether it's school board, city council, county government. A lot of our county offices do not have people running.
Or don't have people running against the person that's incumbent.
Well,
Right.
half of the Democratic Party,
Switch to Republican.
so because they didn't want to have to run anybody, and the Democratic Party is so weak, they should be running anybody just to challenge them. But
Well,
they're
we
all
have-
controlled by Vision.
We have a uniparty in Johnstown.
They're controlled by the power brokers. You do what you're told.
Yeah.
To my good friend Minnie Tom, before we go, because I know you'll be watching this too, we wish you best of luck with Ken and Keith.
Keep looking for that leak.
Keep looking for that leak. We hear that they're going to knock you out. We're going to be watching and laughing. There's going to be a lot more posters coming.
It's amazing how people kiss the rear of people, and then they
Get stabbed in the back.
and then it's funny how that works in this town.
But Minnie Tom is everyone's best friend.
I've heard.
He runs to every office in the county. He flits around and kisses everyone's ass and gossips all day.
Wasn't he their golden child the last election?
Everyone endorsed him because they hated Jerry Cornacella.
Oh.
And by the way, Jerry, even though you're nuts, we still love you. I do. I like Jerry. I do. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
He couldn't have done any worse than what's going on now.
I think he would have done a better job than
He
Scott.
might have.
But I hope you've enjoyed this. I think we'll put the video at the end of this. This is the first installment, the new and improved Revitalize.
Yeah, I'll be able to put the
Johnstown.
video in so people can watch it.
Or we can put the link in the comments and make it simple.
That's true.
But the point we want you all to make is we want your feedback. Whether you love us or hate us. And by the way, Jose, if you're watching this too, and we know you're going to post this on your page, you are welcome to come back to Revitalize Johnstown. People, our rules are very simple. You may hate us, but these are the rules. You cannot block an admin. If you block an admin, you will be booted because we have to be able to respond to your comments. We don't tolerate physical threats. I don't like swearing.
No, I don't care. But there's people, and also if you put a link up that's people have to be a part of another group to see. It comes up a lot of times that the link is blocked, and I won't allow them, and I'll let you know that it's a blocked link. Some people get all upset about me and yell at me about it, or text angrily. But just try to make sure you post links that are ones that everybody can see.
And by the way, we're not afraid of controversy. We want you to trash us. When you trash us online,
it's funny. We get a kick out of it.
Tag us. Don't block us.
Yeah,
because 90% of the time, we're not going to respond.
I'll hang it on my wall in my office.
And the thing is, we'll share them to the page because truthfully, here's what's important to me, people. I want social change. I've been an activist for 23 years. Many of you know my history, even if you pretend not to. Joe and I have been running Revitalize Johnstown with Lonnie for going on 11 years. The point of this page is to create social dialogue, activacy, and change. Yeah. And we've done that. We can name, for as much as you want to criticize us, and Chippy, I'm waiting for the slanted article trashing us. I hope you have the fortitude to call me up. I'll give you an interview, Chippy.
I won't.
You have to have the nerve to call me, though. Explain what the page has accomplished. Because whether you like us or not, you're reading us. You're watching this video, and you care. That's the key. So welcome to Good News installment number 1.
What's the thing that Jerry Springer did? The final thought?
What's your final thought, Joe? That's my final thought.
That's your final thought.
That's my final. And by the way, I love Springer. We're going to do more of these. It just happens that today is a Friday. Today is February 3rd. My father's birthday would have been tomorrow, 83. Happy birthday, Dad. He's been in heaven a very long time. But as for the rest of you, thank you for joining us. I will post this on my personal page so it's public. We'll share it to Revitalize. I'll tag Joe. We want your commentary. If there's topics that you want us to discuss and Joe and I have big mouths, message us. Leave it in the comments. Tell us what you think about this politician or this political topic. Or if you're someone in politics or a regular person and you want us to address something, message us. I don't betray sources because God knows I know all your secrets.
Maybe we can even have guests come on.
I bet you birds would come.
That would be great.
I bet you birds would come. Frank, are you watching? Poor Frank. Maybe he would. I don't know. You think Frank would be scared off?
Out of everybody, he's probably the only one.
He'd probably show up. He would show up and they would criticize him for it.
Yeah,
He loves Revitalize too much. He comments too much.
Oh well.
Marie, maybe I'll invite you. You could scream at me some more. Maybe Marie will scream at me.
You could put some flowers out front.
And then Mayor Frank could
All
show
my
up.
plants are dying. My poor lemon.
Mayor Frank could show up and he could make fun of me. And Reverend Sylvia. She could make us chicken dinners. Poke chop. That's racist, isn't it?
Oh my God. All right.
Thank you all. Goodbye.